So, on the status conferral function, the text explains that the mass media play a critical role in our society by conferring status and prestige to people, events, organizations. The media can elevate the social reputation of those who require favorable attention. They can also transmit a powerful message or sell as a product, as is currently the case with influencers selling makeup or fragrances, blah blah blah. But this happens in all areas: programs, magazines, networks, and more. On the last topic, last week, we talked about Paul Lazarsfeld and Robert Merton and the two-steps flow communication model, where it is based on influence. Ideas flow from the media to an opinion leader, and from that leader to the individuals that have social contact with the opinion leader. This also has personal influence, and it can also be related with the polymorphic leader, like Robert Merton said. And this leader has influence in many different areas and know everyone in a community.
So one big theme throughout the reading is the use of mass media for social gain and gratification, or to gain status through the mass media among peers, or just gain like a powerful social position. And this kind of supports the gratification theory that we discussed in lecture, because one of the aspects of that theory is a need for social gratification that mass media provides us. It gives us this access to other people and to learn like what is the status quo, how can we get there, and how can we use this mass media to help us gain that power and social status that we crave.
The two authors talk about narcotizing dysfunction, and according to them, the mass media system could be considered as a system of social narcotization. So the public and the audience is subjected to increasingly high exposure, which gradually makes it possible to replace the active participation of individuals in social life with a totally passive form of knowledge. And all they do is to talk about and describe a situation of empathy without a cultural growth, and it could be like considered as an extension or like a concretization of what we presented 2 weeks ago with a speech of the filter bubble mechanism, even if here we're talking about something heavier for sure. And isn't it like a description of what we're constantly living in our daily life with every kind of social media? Because this is literally what happens when every social network site works. So we can make reference to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok too, or Twitter. So reading in this application news for many times will cause narcotizing dysfunction. So the users feel indifference and feel numb about the news they have seen repeatedly.
Millions of people access to mass media every day. So we know the data, we know the number of people that have access to mass media, but this information doesn't allow us to know the psychological effects that mass media has on its users. And apart from its social effects, mass media is related with a kind of a feeling of betrayal, because in the past, a lot of social advances were achieved with a lot of efforts, such as, for example, the reduction of the Labor Day. And it was thought that people were going to use these advances to have more time to dedicate themselves to cultural activities, such as, for example, reading the classics. And it is found that with the apparition of mass media, people dedicate all the time to mass media. So mass media kind of absorbs other activities on today's societies.
To consider the social effects of American mass media is to deal only with the effects of these media as privately owned enterprises and their profit-oriented management. This is what the book says, and means that the goals of mass media can come from the audience, but as long as these are also economic goals. The mass media renounce social objectives when they clash with the economic benefits of the companies that carry them, which also explains why they have contributed to consolidating the structure of our society. The topics that are discussed in mass media have to be acceptable to not alienate any appreciable part of the public. For example, a journalist from the University of Costa Rica, Gilberto Lopez, mentions the omission and selection of topics as something negative. However, he also recognizes that it's important and that journalism requires an exercise of exclusion and selection of information where the vision of the world that the journalist has is deprived.